So today I'm looking at a Klipsch, I can't even pronounce it, Klipsch SubWoofer, and it's got some weird plug here. I think it was meant to go with a Bluetooth speaker. It apparently doesn't work, but it's kind of a nice size. There's the speaker there. So I'm just going to open it up and, I don't know, take a look at it, see if I can, it might even work, I don't know. Because it came with a two side speakers, and it might be a little bit of messing around because we have the speakers coming out here, but we have a weird DIN connector there for the input, and so we'll have to figure out that. So I'll just open it up. Okay, so we're just going to check the voltage coming into the power amplifier. 27 volts, minus 27, and then so yeah, so this amplifier is kind of interesting. It's got, I don't know how well you can see in there, but it's got one of the amplifier chips, but then it's actually got a discrete amplifier here, so it's probably quite a bit of wattage, as you can see from the power coming into it. And it looks like it's got split power supplies for probably this amp and this amp. And it's a switched mode power supply. Looks like it's putting out the power, but I'm going to hook it up and I'm going to see if I can see if it works. It looks like it's supposed to have some kind of a control module to it, and I don't have that. Like I say, I just bought this for a couple of bucks, and it was advertised as not working. So let's put that in there. And I'm just going to turn on my signal generator, and I marked the pinouts for this. 1 is plus 15 volts, 2 is the subwoofer, 3 is no connection, 4 is the right channel, 5 is minus 15 volts, and 6 is ground. So it looks like this actually powers a preamp. I don't know. Let's see. So I'm going to put in let's see, frequency of 100 hertz and an amplitude of so we'll go 500 millivolts peak to peak. And let's see, we'll have to figure out some way to get some pins in there. So I'm going to go orange to our subwoofer, pin 2. I'll plug it in, and hook up my, well, first I'm going to check to see if there's any voltage across those pins in case I've got it wrong. I don't want to hook it up to my signal generator until I check that. Yeah. Okay, so there's 28 volts there. What did I mess up? So, so this should be, so that's the input. Okay, I'm going to have to see if I can figure this out. So the pinout that I was seeing on that I looked up isn't right for this, and so I just thought I'd test everything out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my voltmeter and see which of the pins have power on them. And because I think this connector was used to power the preamp controller board or module. I don't know what they call it. So that's to ground. So that's minus 14. Okay, and this next one, there's nothing on it, so that's either right or left. Let's see if we can put a signal through there and get something out. So that is, let me, so it looks like that pin then is to, let's see, my yellow probe, that is right. Okay, now let's go to this next one. And first check it for voltage. Okay, nothing. We'll try putting a signal to it. Yeah, I don't know, that doesn't seem to do anything. Yeah, it's just got noise on it. It is going through somewhat, but okay, let's skip that one. So that sounds like the sub. Okay, and then the next one must be the plus 15 volts. Okay, perfect. All right. So I'm going to assume this one is left. Let me check out why that's not. Yeah, there's just a lot of noise on that. But the right one, Got a nice signal. Left one is just noise. Okay, so I've got things a little better figured out. It's actually this pin here is ground and this is left. And so now I have my signal generator coming into both right and left. And I have my scope hooked up to right and left. Yellow is left. And then if I turn it on, I get some nice signal coming out. And it turns out I was wrong. I thought it was an amplifier chip going into a discrete amplifier, and it's actually the subwoofer. It looks like that amplifier chip is a stereo amplifier, and that's amplifying the signal coming into here. So this is actually acting as an amplifier both for the right and left channel and for the subwoofer here, and that's why you've got the two different power supplies, one for these speakers and one for the subwoofer, and they're completely discrete because I can't hear, or they're completely separate. I don't hear anything coming out of the subwoofer, and so this would be nice if you wanted to drive a couple of speakers and a subwoofer at the same time. Now I'm going to start. I'm going to hook some resistors up to here and see how much power we can kick out of it. So now I have my signal generator set up here, and then I have that coming down into the right and left channel, and then out the right and left channel I go into these 8 ohm resistors, and then I have my scope hooked up to the 8 ohm resistors, and then from there into the scope. So I'm just going to turn this down. I'm going to see how much power we can put out here. And here's our RMS value, and this is the one we're going to want to be watching. So I'm just going to see what this can put out on those two speakers. So I'm going to take my amplitude, and right now it's 1 volt peak to peak. It's cranking up quite a bit. And then we're starting to get some distortion right there. And so that looks like about 15 volts RMS. So if we take 15 volts, we square it, and we divide it by 8 in the number of ohms, we get about 28 watts. So we're putting out 28 watts per channel. That's quite a bit coming out of that little amp. But I can feel everything humming. Uh-oh. Look at that. Apparently it's overheating. Let's see if it comes back. Yeah, these resistors are starting to warm up. Huh, that's interesting. Okay, I'm going to shut it off. Let's just see how hot that is in there. Yeah, so here's, I think this here is the amplifier that's doing the stereo, and it's cooking. But it's like enclosed. It's a, I mean, yeah, it's connected here. But that's going to be mostly for this amplifier over here, which is the subwoofer one. Yeah, that's roasting. So I'm just checking the temperature. 128, 130, 140. Yeah, it's really cooking. And I don't have it up all the way either. I just have it at 9. Yeah, now it's 170 degrees. Now it's starting to distort. See it distorting there? I'll turn it down. Yeah, so I mean it's got the chutzpah to put out that much, but then it doesn't have the heat sink to handle it. Yeah, because it was up around 200 degrees, and that wasn't the full output. So no wonder it was distorting, but I don't know. I don't know whether this is for, I don't know. I don't think you could be running full blast with it. That's alright though, it's still cool. Now let's check the subwoofer, see what it can do. So now I have my sub wire. It's hooked up to the resistor over here, and I'm guessing that input for the sub is much different than for the regular speakers, but maybe not. The regular speakers, to get them to go up that high, I was going many volts peak to peak, but okay, let's just see what we've got here. We'll turn it on. I've got 1 volt peak to peak right now. It looks like we're at about half a volt RMS. So we're at 10 volts RMS. My signal generator doesn't go above that. Doesn't go above 20 peak to peak. So I can't really check what the sub's going to be doing. Let me lower my frequency. Interesting. Oh, I get it. Okay, so I was so then so my frequency right now is at 70. Yeah, and then as I turn it down, yeah, it starts distorting a little earlier. So let me set up let me see how hot it's getting first. Interesting. See, this amp doesn't get nearly as hot as that other one. So let me go over here and I'll set up a sweep. Say over 5 seconds, and our stop frequency, let's go to 1 kilohertz. Our start frequency 10 hertz. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to see here, but you can see how stop it. You can see how as the frequency increases to so between here and here, you can see our frequency, we're not producing any sound once we get up around here, which isn't that high a frequency. And yeah, and then all the way up to 1 kilohertz, we're completely dead. So yeah, it shows it's clearly filtering so that we're only playing the low frequencies. So we're kind of distorting in here. That's 24 volts peak to peak, or RMS. That's about 72 watts. But it's interesting how, okay, so I'm going to increase the frequency. See how the amplitude drops? We're about 100, 115, 140. So by 200 hertz, we're already almost completely cut off. And then if I go back, let's go back to 60. And then it's all about the same, but it does seem to have some weird distortion. I don't know, I bet that subwoofer is a 4 ohm load. That might be the reason. Now we're starting to get hot. My little heat gun. Yeah, that's not too bad. Yeah, with that other amplifier was up. But I can't imagine when you're running this thing and you've got both amplifiers putting out how much heat you'd get in there. I think that kind of ridiculous, but and then it's sealed inside. I don't know. Oh, here you can feel kind of the plate is kind of warm. So it is putting some of the heat out to here. Yeah, the subwoofer heat is really coming through all here. So I guess that's how they manage it. I don't know. I don't think it's going to do me much good, just because it's expecting a preamp to be boosting these up. It's not really putting out a lot of sound until I get into the 20 volts peak to peak. So it's expecting to have a pretty large signal coming out of here, so I couldn't just hook it to a stereo, but it is. Okay, so one thing I was thinking about with this amp is it's got a left input, a right input, and a sub input, and it looks like to get to their peak voltage, these are running at about 20 volts peak to peak input, which seems kind of weird to me, but this thing was connected to some kind of a preamp controller box. But I want to be able to hook up to just a regular sub output on a stereo, which is line voltage, which is, I think, more around under a volt. And so what I was thinking of doing is bringing the signal into the left channel, having that amplified, and then running that into the right channel, having that amplified, and then running in that into the subwoofer channel. And I looked, and a 500 millivolts peak to peak, which you might see coming out of a stereo, would be amplified to 1.64, amplified to 4.2, and then I'm not sure what the sub then would be. But so that's what I'm going to try out, just to kind of mess around and see how it's going to work. But that's kind of taking full advantage of all the 3 different amplifiers, or the one stereo amplifier and the sub amplifier. So if I turn it off, flip it over, and yeah, this is going to be a little weird. So we're going to come in on the right channel, and then out the right channel and into the left channel, and then out the left channel to the sub. And yeah, let's see how that works. I'm going to turn my signal generator down quite a bit. I'll turn it to 100 millivolts peak to peak, and let's see what happens. Oh, nothing, because I don't have my probe in the right place. Let's see. Wire coming up to here. So signal coming into right, right coming into left, left going out to sub. Oh, my frequency is at 1 kilohertz, and that should be filtered out. let me set my frequency to 60 Hertz. Oh, look at that. So there I set my frequency to 60 Hertz. What are we at? So at 60 millivolts peak to peak coming in, we have an output of 2.8 volts. So yeah, we get quite a bit of output when I bring it up. I'm going to put it to 500. Now we're getting about 22. Let's see, an RMS of 7.6. So yeah, we can go up quite a bit higher too. Now we're starting to distort. But we have an RMS of 16.13. Let's see. So that's about 32 watts. I'm going to hook the speaker back up and see what we get out of there. Hertz, 30. I don't feel doing much there. 40 is picking up. 50. Then it dies off. So the whole, that secondary amplifier is all kind of filtered out to be in kind of a tight range there. So I don't know. So I'm going to solder the output here to the left channel, and then just found where just plug into the right channel, and that comes where does that come? Right here. I'm just going to solder to there. Okay, so there's our wire from the left output to the right input. And then let's check what our sub is. Okay, well, it looks like that I guess I can solder to it. It's a little tight. Okay, so then our right output is going to our sub, I think. And so that if we input on left, we should get now some good output on the sub. Okay, so there's my dummy load right there. I have my speaker wire hooked up to the dummy load, and signal generator then 60 Hertz, 200 millivolts peak to peak. And then let's keep an eye on the scope, see what it comes up with. So there we're on, and have a beautiful signal at 200 millivolts peak to peak. I've got an RMS of 3 volts, and it's a little over 1 watt, and is that right? 3.9 about, yeah, a little over 1 watt, and which I think is good. I don't know. And so let's try putting it all together. Okay. Let's try it out. So it's about 200 volts, 200 millivolts peak to peak. That's about 600 millivolts peak to peak. So that's working pretty good. So I think now, let's see if I can find an RCA jack I can put on here and seal up somehow. And so I just connected this RCA connector. I just drilled a hole through it and connected it up to the right input, the left input. So go from left input, left output to right input, right output to sub input. And then I don't have any of this fancy gross glue they have, so I'll just use a glue gun to seal this cord off. That's it. Alright, I'll try plugging it into my stereo. And anyways, I thought it was kind of an interesting project just to kind of look at and see what was inside, what makes it tick. And so if you liked it, please subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks for watching.